Johnny, that's better than most.
How about in?
That is better than most. Better than most!
You're listening to the Bump and Run Golf Podcast on WHIP Radio with Dalton Balthaser.
Oh, wow! In your life have you seen anything like that?
Good morning, people of Earth and golf fans everywhere. You're listening to the Bump and Run Golf Podcast on WHIP Radio, Philadelphia's #1 college radio station, and this is episode 14, PGA Championship Preview. The 98th playing of the PGA Championship will be taking place at Baltusrol Country Club in New Jersey, and for the PGA Tour, it is the final major of the calendar year. Because of the Olympics in August, they had to move the PGA Championship to the end of July, just 2 weeks after the British Open, unlike the usual 4-week gap that's between the final two majors of the year. And I'm going to go through some key holes at Baltusrol that will help determine a champion. I'll talk about my favorites for the championship, and I'll give my best and worst moments from the 97 previous PGA Championships in pin-seeking PGA Championship edition. And then I'm going to also talk about what makes the PGA Championship so special for many club professionals around the United States. So stay tuned. You're listening to the Bump and Run Golf Podcast on WHIP Radio, Philadelphia's #1 college radio station. Baltusrol Golf Club will host the 98th playing of the PGA Championship, and Baltusrol has had 7 U.S. Opens, and it had 4 on its lower course, and it also has had 2 PGA Championships, including the one this year. And Baltusrol offers a very unique setup that plays to a par of 70 at around 7,500 yards. And Baltusrol has 2 par 5s on the scorecard, and they come on the 17th and 18th holes, the final 2 holes of the golf course, which offers an interesting finish for someone looking to make a move, or someone looking to come from behind, or someone looking to seal the deal. Phil Mickelson used it to his advantage in 2005 when he won the PGA Championship for his second major victory, just after his first major victory at Augusta in 2004. Coming into the last hole, Mickelson needed a birdie on the par 5 18th to secure that second major championship victory, and after hitting his second shot just short of the green, he had a nice pitch and a nice putt, and he put it in for his victory at Baltusrol in 2005. There were a lot of big-name players at the top of the leaderboard for that tournament: Vijay Singh, Tiger Woods, Davis Love III, Thomas Bjorn of Denmark, Steve Elkington, and even guys like Retief Goosen and Jeff Ogilvy. And Mickelson shot a final 2 days of +4 to finish the tournament at 4 under par to win by 1. And in that third round, Thomas Bjorn equaled the lowest round in a major championship with a 63 to get himself right in contention after Mickelson's 67-65 start. And Mickelson was the 7th wire-to-wire winner of the championship, even though he shared the lead in the first and third rounds. And he was the first to win wire-to-wire since Tiger at Valhalla in 2000, and I'll talk about that tournament a little bit later in this podcast. But Baltusrol's par 3s are not short by any stretch of the imagination. There are 4 of them on the golf course. Number 4, which plays at about 195 yards. Number 9, which is about 210 yards. Number 12, which is about 220 yards. And number 16, which is the longest on the golf course at 230 yards. And Baltusrol's par 3s will play a key factor in determining the champion, because these long par 3s, unlike what Royal Troon had at number 8 with the postage stamp with only 110 yards, but it did play really tough in the Open Championship due to the severe slopes around the greens and those deep coffin bunkers. But Baltusrol's par 3s will be an important part because they're all basically 200 yards. There aren't any short ones that these great ball strikers can put the ball in at the right level and give themselves great chances for birdie. And Phil Mickelson happens to be the best player on the par 3s on the PGA Tour this year, so that could be something that he could use to his advantage to try to get another major championship under his belt after falling short at Royal Troon after a brilliant performance by Henrik Stenson. But also in the front 9, there's 2 par 4s over 500 yards, the 3rd and the 7th, playing both at around 505 yards. And it's one of those things that players have to get off to a good start, because there are some really tough holes on that front 9, but if they do struggle, they have a chance to finish with a bang on 17 and 18, 17 being a 650-yard par 5, and 18 being one of the best par 5 finishing holes in the country. And someone that could be behind or looking to secure a major championship could use those holes as a way to do so. But the back nine at Baltusrol plays almost 400 yards longer than the front nine, so it will be interesting to see how the two nines compare, especially with the inward nine playing a lot longer than the outward nine. But I think the holes that will be key in this week's tournament will be the par 3s and 17 and 18. Being able to finish strong on 17 and 18 each day will give certain players a great advantage if they are struggling on the par 3s or maybe aren't having great success on the par 4s. PGA Championships offer a great share of scoring, with Jason Day last year shooting 20 under par, the lowest score ever in a major. That was tied this year by Henrik Stenson at Royal Troon just a couple of weeks ago. But PGA Championships do have good conditions, and if the weather is good up in New Jersey, it's going to be a low-scoring affair. So think of guys that can really make birdies to get to the top of the leaderboard. Next up, Pin Seeking PGA Championship Edition.
Be the right club. Be the right club today.
In my opinion, the best moment over the last 97 PGA Championships was at the 2000 PGA Championship at Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville, Kentucky, and the duel between Bob May, an unknown journeyman on the PGA Tour, and a young Eldrick Tiger Woods. Tiger was in the midst of back-to-back major championship victories after winning the 2000 U.S. Open and the 2000 British Open, the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach Golf Links, and the British Open at the home of golf, St. Andrews in Scotland. And coming down the stretch, Tiger Woods and Bob May were both throwing haymakers at each other back and forth. Bob May was making great birdies, Tiger was answering, and it was just one of those times like Nicklaus and Watson in 1977, the duel in the sun at the British Open in Turnberry, and just a couple weeks ago between Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson at Troon for the British Open. These guys just kept going back and forth, and they came to the 18th, mired in stalemate, and Bob May had about a 25-footer from off of the 18th green, a par 5, looking to take a one-shot lead over Tiger, who had about 5 to 6 feet left for his birdie, and he rolled his putt, the double breaker, and it rolled right in the center of the hole to give him a one-shot lead over Tiger, and Tiger had to make that 6-footer, breaking left to right to get into a 3-hole playoff with Bob May. And as all you golf enthusiasts out there know, Tiger back in the day made anything and everything that mattered with his putter, no matter how long, no matter how short, no matter how much break he had to play. You know it was going in, because at that time Tiger would make everything, and up until his victory at the 2008 U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, he still was able to putt. But over the last few years, his putting has gone to crap because he's been so worried about his back and his full swing than his short game. But nevertheless, Tiger rolled it right in to get into a playoff with Bob May, and looking for his 5th major title already in his young, historic career. And in that first playoff hole, Bob May hit a great chip shot to about gimme range for par, and Tiger had a pretty lengthy look for a birdie, and it was one of the most famous moments in the history of the PGA Championship, and one many will not forget.
First hole of the playoff, Tiger Woods for his birdie.
Oh, he's running after it. He ran after it. He got there before the ball did. I don't believe it. How about that? I've never seen him do that.
After hitting a wayward drive on the 18th, way left, Tiger punched out and hit his approach shot into the greenside bunker out of the thick rough, and Bob May hit his shot to the right of the big ridge on the par 5 18th at Valhalla, about 35 feet up a steep rise and then down towards the hole. And Tiger got up and blasted out a great bunker shot to gimme range, and Bob May had about that 35-footer up a steep rise and then back down the hill towards the hole to tie Tiger and force some more holes for a playoff. And May gave it as good of a run as he could, just missing it on the low side, leaving Tiger to clean up for his 5th major championship victory.
He will now inch closer to Nicklaus and join Hogan. He has taken the torch and he's running with it. Major championship number 5.
I imagine you learned a little bit something about yourself and more importantly about your heart today.
Yeah, I think I have a big heart, and I think people, weren't expecting me to do what I did, and I think I proved to them that I can play golf.
This week has been a wonderful week. Bob was this is probably one of the greatest duels I've ever had in my life. I've had a few, and Bob, hats off to Bob because he plays hard out.
Tiger's victory at Valhalla would be the 3rd leg of what would be known as the Tiger Slam, the 4 consecutive majors that he won, not in a calendar year, but from the U.S. Open to the British Open to the PGA Championship and then the 2001 Masters. But the only person to ever win all 4 majors in one year is Bobby Jones, and that happened in the great year of 1930, where he won the U.S. Open, the British Amateur, the British Open, and the U.S. Amateur in a calendar year. Those were the 4 majors at the time. But that was when Tiger was at the height of his career and would soon lead to more major championships, with his last coming in 2008 at Torrey Pines, defeating Rocco Mediate. Next up, the worst moment in the PGA Championship history over the past 97 playings happens to be the beginning of major championship heartbreak for one of the newly minted major champions.
What the hell's going on out here?
Dustin Johnson's PGA Tour career has been one to look back on. Each year he's been on tour, he has a victory, but major championships were always his downfall, where he would have a final round collapse or something unfortunate happen at the time where he was about to make a major breakthrough. And the beginning all started at 2010 at the US Open at Pebble Beach, where he shot a final round of 82 to give Graham McDowell his first major championship victory. And just a few short months later, he came to the PGA Championship at Whistling Straits with a one-shot lead into the final hole, looking for his first major championship title. And after hooking his drive left into some sort of sandy dirt area, America's hearts would go out to the native Carolinian for a penalty that won't soon be forgotten.
The second shot up there was in one of those bunkers that was outside the rope area. Now, this is something that got a little tricky about how do you play these lies and all these bunkers all over the golf course.
This is where we think he grounded it there, and you see, like every player, you kind of then move the blade behind the ball before you start your swing.
Now the ruling has just come in. 2-shot penalty.
Wow. I have to say, Jim, under the circumstances of the whole commotion of that, I think any of us could have made that mistake.
Thousands of people standing, on that hill up there, and there's Gatorade bottles, beer cans, cups, trash, everything's sitting all around my ball. And I get up there and I never once think that I'm in a bunker. I never even thought I was in sand, so it wasn't. To me, it looked like it was dirt.
The thousands of bunkers that were in play that week at Whistling Straits in 2010 were made known of to the players. There was a big briefing in the locker room saying that all sandy areas would be played as hazards and treat them as such, and Johnson just happened to be at the wrong place in the wrong time, and all the spectator paths and whatnot turned it into some sort of sand pile, which was unfortunate for Dustin. But it was one of those rulings, just like the one at Oakmont this year with his ball moving, that just hurt his chance at his first major, and it just spiraled from there at Royal St. George's in 2012 and Chambers Bay as well, where he was right there. He could have 4 or 5 major championships by now, but just some unfortunate circumstances came out of it, and he just wasn't able to get the job done. But his victory at Oakmont proves that Dustin Johnson is a world-class player and can compete with the best, and all it takes is one win, and then the floodgates may open for him coming down the next 10 or 15 years. But it was a horrible occurrence for Johnson that happened to give the tournament to Martin Keimer, the young 25-year-old German, winning his first major in a playoff over Bubba Watson, and the two of them have turned out to have pretty decent careers so far. Keimer won the 2010 PGA there at Whistling Straits, and then he ran away with the 2014 U.S. Open at Pinehurst, winning by 8 shots, and Bubba won the 2012 and 2014 Masters as well. So they've had really good careers to get going. And Johnson's on his way to that as well after winning the 2016 U.S. Open at Oakmont with his great final round performance. For Dustin Johnson's sake, hopefully luck is on his side for the rest of his career, because he sure had some shortcomings, especially this one that happened at Whistling Straits. Now I want to go in to talk a little bit about why the PGA Championship is so special for thousands of club professionals around the country. The PGA Championship is the only major championship that allows club professionals to try to qualify for. Each year, these PGA professionals compete in the PGA Professional National Championship to try to secure a spot at the PGA Championship. 20 club professionals get that honor every year. And I just think it's a great thing that the PGA of America has done because these club professionals do a lot for the game of golf. They help grow the game of golf, help teach people the game of golf, help teach people the right way to play the game of golf, the rules. They're always looking out for the game, and why not give something back to them that they've been giving back to their students, to their colleagues, to the game of golf? And that's an opportunity to play in a major championship. And most club professionals aren't really looking to play out on tour. They really enjoy their life as a teaching professional, and it's just one of those things you can tell how important this is for these guys. And why not reward the people that are the biggest ambassadors for growing the game of golf? The local club professionals and teaching pros, and each one of them has a unique teaching method or style that may become revolutionary in the game of golf down the stretch. And as I have said before on this podcast, and I'm a big supporter of club professionals because they help you with your game and they just want to see people get better. And that's how I've been able to get better with my club professional. And all you out there should go see a PGA professional if you're struggling with your game or just want someone to mentor you through the process of getting better at this game that we all love. And why not support them at the PGA Championship this week at Baltusrol? Now, prediction time. There's a lot of great opportunities for good golfers to get their first major victory, and this 2016's been the year of first-time major winners. Danny Willett at the Masters, Dustin Johnson at the U.S. Open, and Henrik Stenson at the British Open have all been first-time winners. And I think I'm going to go with another first-time winner for the PGA Championship, and Sergio Garcia knocks on the door way too many times, and has knocked on the door way too many times to not have a major championship. And if Henrik Stenson, Dustin Johnson, Danny Willett can get it done, I think it's about time for Sergio, because he is running out of time. And I mean quickly, because Stenson was in his 40s when he got his first major championship. Dustin Johnson is a young stud yet. Danny Willett's a young guy yet. But time is running out. Phil Mickelson at 46 almost got it done last week, but he just needs to get it all together for 1 week, and he's had that many times at Carnoustie, at the British Open, and many other places, but he just couldn't make the putts when he needed to get the job done. And Sergio's got some time left, like his fellow European Lee Westwood, who's been contending for years and years and years, but it's just one of those things that the time is now for Sergio. His ball striking's good, his strokes gained putting is one of the best on the PGA Tour, unlike what many would think, and I think this is the week where he gets it done. He's a great scorer, and scoring is going to win this. 20 under won last year. I wouldn't be surprised if a number in the mid-teens would get it done this year at Baltusrol. But for Sergio, the time is now, and what better way to end the 2016 major season and get him ready for the Olympics and the Ryder Cup by getting his first major championship victory. And if he gets that first at Baltusrol, the floodgates may open for Sergio, and he may get a couple. And guys like Mark O'Meara didn't win their major championships until they were in their 40s. O'Meara won his Masters and British Open when he was in his 40s, so it's possible for Sergio, but Father Time stops for no one, and currently Sergio is on Father Time's list, so he needs to be careful and make sure that he tries the best he can to get the job done in a major championship. How disappointing would that be for Sergio with all of his talent when he was 19, challenging Tiger at the 1999 PGA Championship at Medina with that eyes closed slice right around the root of a tree the base of a tree and loss at 2008 at Carnoustie to Padraig Harrington, and then that PGA Championship as well that he and Harrington were going back and forth, and it's just time for Sergio, and I think he gets it done at Baltusrol this week. That is going to do it for the 14th episode of the Bump and Run Golf Podcast, the PGA Championship preview. I'd like to thank you all out there for listening, and stay tuned for my last episode of the summer in the PGA Championship recap next week, where I will recap the last major championship of the year and look ahead to the Ryder Cup and things to expect in the fall. Once again, I'd like to thank you all out there for listening, and you can follow me on Twitter at Dalton Balthaser for all the latest in the golf industry. And until next time, my golf friends, I'm alright, nobody but about me. Why you got to give me a fight? Can't you just let it be? I'm alright, don't nobody but about me. Par threes will play a key factor in determining the champion because these long par threes will play a key factor in determining the champion because these long par threes.